me, Jodi Duncan, and it's also November, one of my favorite times of the year. If you remember last year, I showed you a cornucopia that was full of all the abundance that the season brings to us. This year, I wanted to show you November in a really sleek, sophisticated, clean way, but it's also a great way to celebrate the wonder of the season. Now, I'm leaning heavily upon this container from UCI, which is simply called Modern, and it's a polished aluminum, has kind of a funky shape. It might actually bring my hair under control. You never know. It's a jaunty hat, a helmet if you need. I prefer it as a really fantastic container. Now, this one that I already have done, you'll see is white enamel on the inside. So there's a couple different options for this. The one I'm going to show you is just the silver, like I've shown here. So it's the same exact container, just a completely different look. So this Modern container from UCI, I've just simply lined with UGlu strips. And so I peel the backing off, and it adheres really nice to the aluminum. I followed just the line of the rim, which is at a slight angle. And so that's going to help adhere my calla lilies to the back so that they stay strong and secure. It's just a really fun container to play with, and I think you'll enjoy the look. I've got some flame callas. I left them out of water so they'd have a little bit more flexibility and movement. Since they're not crisp and fresh from the container, they bend without snapping and without creasing. So that was really important. So I'm gonna take my first placement right up here, and I'm gonna start kind of high, and I'm just gonna follow the line of the container and push those stems down in. And they almost cantilever against themselves because of the shape of the container. It's a really clean, simple design. We're so used to using tons of product and just piling it in because it's okay in autumn. That's what we always do, is more is better, and cram it in there and make sure you got plenty of it. But this is just a simple, clean look that's very modern and very elegant. And calla lilies last very well for out of water. So it's something that you can count on to last through an event or for entertaining for your customers. I'm using the bloom part now, and it just sticks to the back of the bloom onto the UGlu. And you can see I'm just lining them up parallel to each other. So they work out really, really nicely. We're getting great line from the clean calla stems, and the UGlu's holding everything nicely in place. And they just have a really great curve. So it's simple, it's clean, it's elegant, and mono botanical. We're just kind of using almost all one flower. You could stop at this point and take a little bundle of wheat. So I just took a small amount of wheat. This is probably 1/4 of a bundle. And you put the sheaf really tightly into your hand. And with just a little bit of bouillon, you bind it really tightly and wrap that around so that it's good and secure. It's repeating the silver element that's in the bowl, and I like that. So it gives just a little bit of glitz and shine for your Thanksgiving table. And I'm gonna clip that off and twist those up really tight. And then I'm just gonna get rid of the stems there. Once you've bundled your wheat, it makes a great focal emphasis for your arrangement. This is so interesting and so clean, and as powerful as it is, it might be a little bit boring. So this adds just a great focal, also a great way to do place cards as you sit down to your Thanksgiving dinner. So I'm just gonna tuck that right in here and give you a peek. It's really plain and simple, but I'm gonna show you some other things you can do to dress it up and kind of take it up a notch. And one way we can do that is with Lehner Wolle and the calla lily. Now, if you wanna check this one out over here, I've already wrapped the stems with the Lehner Wolle. And I'm gonna show you exactly how I did that. You might say, oh, so what, I can wrap a stem. But this is a really clean, cool technique. You can even use it for boutonnieres. And I'm gonna show you just how to do that with the Lehner Wolle. So I've got this wonderful wool that I love to use, and it comes in great big rolls like this. Love it. Lehner Wolle is fantastic. Now what I'm gonna do with this calla lily is I'm gonna make a long U that just runs the length of the calla. And I'm just gonna hold those two pieces parallel to each other. This is essentially a kind of a hangman's noose. And I'm gonna begin to wrap right around there. Now, it's not important to do it tight, but it is important to keep it really clean and right next to each other so that you can't see the stem. You don't wanna wrap it down really tight though, because we're gonna hide the ends. This is a really great decorative mechanic, but it's also very, very clean. So I'm gonna wrap up. I'm gonna leave just this little tiny loop right here at the top. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off and tuck this through this loop. Now this is the important part, so pay attention. So that is right in the back of the loop and I'm leaving it right there. But remember this tail that I left at the bottom? So I'm gonna pull that right out, and what's gonna happen is that end is going to disappear down inside of the wool. So now I've got, well, they say, Jodi, you've still got that tail down there. Yeah, but I can come in here, scrunch that wool up, cut it off, and scrunch it back down. So there's no end. It's like infinity. You can do this with any kind of rope. You can do this with any kind of bind it wire, any kind of paper covered wire, bark covered wire. The important thing is don't get it too tight because you want it to slide back down in there. But if you look at this, there's no ends, it's very clean. It's almost like it was machine done. And so this is a really fun, great technique. I've done this down in water before, and the great thing about the Lehner wool is that it doesn't bleed into the water. It lasts really well and it holds together fantastically. So I just chose to give that treatment to a few of my flame callas. I didn't do it to every one, but if you look down in here, they're tucked behind and at different heights. And so they're all done with the exact same technique that I just showed you, just showing a few of them to add interest. I think one of the trends that you're really gonna start to see much more of is yarn and wool. And so this is a great way to incorporate that, but it's a really clean, clever way to use it. Then the other thing that we did in here was just cut off some of the pincushion protea. We have some of these fantastic gems from UCI, just in the green, and I sprinkled those down in for some interest. Really simple, went together quickly, but it's a different autumn look, and it draws your eye down in instead of being over the top, bang you over the head with autumn. This is a subtle, classy, artful way to bring Thanksgiving right into your home and the home of your clients.